travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the shenanigans.
It was the early 80s, and sex was still a good way to meet new people.
The disappointment.
Now, that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
And the self-confidence.
I'm 6 foot, 3 inches tall, and maintain a very consistent panda bear shape.
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Sure, it's not 1985 right now, but who knows what tomorrow will bring.
Bells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost its wheel, the Joker got away.
Are you ready for the annual Bacchanalia of a review of yet another sequel to an 80s classic?
I'd rather shoot my eye out.
Hey everyone, it's our take on the 2022 sequel to A Christmas Story, so cleverly disguised as, wait for it, A Christmas Story Christmas.
Merry Christmas, you turds!
This episode of Stuck in the 80s is sponsored by Santa Claus. I know him. Have you been a bad little boy or girl this year? Did you forget to send your mom flowers for Mother's Day? Did you buy your staff gift cards to Arby's as a Christmas present? Did you forget to download all of 2022's podcasts? Good, because only the truly naughtiest of 80s fans get to go on the 80s Cruise. Join Spearsy, me, MTV VJs, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, and Downtown Julie Brown, along with 3,000 more holiday elves. Love the shoes, lose the hat. In March 2023 for a week-long trip on board the Royal Caribbean Navigator of the Seas. Performers will include Devo, Bret Michaels, Kim Wilde, The Church, Howard Jones, Living Colour, John Parr, Morris Day and the Time, The Smithereens, Vixen, Cutting Crew, Midyear, Autograph, Tone Loc, and more. And first-time guests can get $200 of cabin credit. And we're not talking like Santa dollars or like coupons and stuff. We're talking $200 just by using the promo code STUCK when booking. STUCK, you spell it, you get it. Just go to www.the80scruise.com for more information. Also, I've got some used cars for sale.
Hey everyone. Oh my God, it's Thanksgiving weekend as we record, and yet we blatantly jump ahead on the calendar for a month to discuss a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Not a Christmas movie, a Christmas story? Not a Christmas story, a Christmas story Christmas?
It's so meta, my mind is scrambled. I blame myself. We went and saw the Rockettes last weekend.
Oh, in New York?
Yeah, all just Christmassy, all just jammed down your throat like eating a pine tree.
I saw that 10 years ago when I was there, and I remember walking into Radio City Music Hall and being just like floored by what a beautiful venue it is.
Oh, I'd never been in there.
Yeah.
Katie went with me for a work trip last week, and she's like, what should we do on Saturday? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, oh, it's too bad we can't see the Rockettes. We walked by the marquee and we're like, actually, it opens this weekend. And we were able to get tickets, so man, it was fun. I know there are probably people that go every year, and it's like a big thing for them. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if you like it that much, enjoy it. I don't think I ever need to go again.
Oh, well, that's a wonderful attitude to have on Christmas Eve.
Bah humbug.
I'll tell you what I remember about it. It was the best hour of sleep I ever got.
Oh, man. Come on, it starts out with dueling organs. There's like big organs on either side of the... Oh, it's fantastic.
Every one of our podcasts is two dueling organs.
Ooh, the brain and another. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a little dancing in there, as you might expect. There's a lot more Jesus than I had expected, although it is a Christmas spectacular, so I guess I can't really be too surprised. There were not one, but 2 camels and a donkey.
I remember it being like a nice warm room, and then that was the last thing I remember. Then I just fell asleep. Because the weird thing about New York City in the winter is that every place is super heated inside.
Oh yeah.
So the one thing you learn as a visitor there is layer. Don't wear like heavy sweaters and stuff like that you can't get out of, because you're going to go into Radio City Music Hall and you're going to fall asleep in the slumber of like a toasty 80-degree auditorium.
Like a bear in a cave in the winter. Yeah. Forget about it. It's over.
Anyway, so Brad came back from New York, and the first thing on our assignment sheet was to watch on HBOMax A Christmas Story Christmas.
So what do you guys do around here for Christmas these days?
It's the same here as it's always been.
Yeah, just the usual. The usual's not going to cut it. I need something more. It's all on me this year.
Well, in that case, I suggest you start drinking and don't stop till New Year's.
Oh, this is serious. Larry?
What do you want from me? I come here to avoid my family.
I'm sure most of you know by now the shtick here. It's Peter's Billingsley returns. This is the first really good sequel to the original movie from the 80s. There was one that was done, I think, about 10 years ago with Daniel Stern, and it's unwatchable.
Is that the one where he wants a car?
Yes, that's the one where he wants the car.
Yeah.
So
no,
we watched it last night, and me and the wife sat down. We got through the first 20 minutes, and to be honest, I was horrified.
Steve was texting me stuff. I'm like, you need to shut your whore mouth, dude. I haven't watched a second of this yet, and you're peeing in the well.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to just say, like, we can't do this show. I mean, I don't want to go on a podcast and just totally...
And just trash this thing.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So we stopped watching it then, and we picked it up. I picked it up again this morning. I watched the rest of it by myself pretty much. And suddenly, 20 minutes in, it finds its groove.
Yeah, I mean, look, do you like A Christmas Story? If you like A Christmas Story, this is not going to hurt you.
Seeing Christmas through your children's eyes has the power to summon long-forgotten memories and emotions.
Don't let him kick you in the face.
Huh?
Is it Citizen Kane? No, but neither is A Christmas Story. Like, hello, it's a oddly meta nostalgia for the holidays movie that's really, the nostalgia is not so much about the holidays as it is about this holiday movie that we all know and love so much. Well, yeah, not everyone loves it, but...
Not a finger!
You know, it's funny, by the way, if you go to YouTube and you you Google A Christmas Story Honest Trailer, they have a deadly accurate take on the original movie. And like, do we really love this movie, or do we just love that we can quote this movie?
In a film that looks back fondly on the childhood the narrator looks back fondly on, that makes you look back fondly on watching it as a kid, and return to the American Midwest in the broke-ass 30s, where listening to the radio is considered fun.
There's something to that.
Yeah, there is something to that. But let's set up the new movie.
As nostalgia brokers ourselves, we're perfectly positioned to do this.
Yeah. This movie is set in the mid-70s. And Ralphie is back, played by the original actor, Peter Billingsley. He is an aspiring writer now. And his dad, the old man, has passed away. Now, we're not going to say anything in this review that's going to spoil it for you. We're not going to give away the ending. But we'll set it up for you. His dad passes away, and so Ralphie, his wife, and their two kids, a son and a daughter, go back home to Indiana to be with his mom for Christmas. And because Christmas was the thing that the old man was so good at celebrating and decorating for and planning for, and his mom needs his help. So it is kind of this little movie that's kind of like a lot of homages to the original movie, a lot of homages to even moments in the 70s.
Yeah, there are definitely some notes that you're like, yeah, okay, I get that.
Almost everybody returns.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that come back, which makes it fun.
The mom, though, is not one of them. Melinda Dillon played the mom in the original movie. She's replaced by Julie Haggerty, which everyone remembers from Airplane.
Elaine, you're a member of this crew. Can you face some unpleasant facts?
No.
I looked up
Lost in America, yeah.
And Lost in America, and also, she's in a lot of movies. But Melinda Dillon retired about 12 years ago and just hasn't returned to do any work since then. And so completely makes sense that she doesn't want to be involved. The actors who play Flick, Schwartz, his little brother Randy, Scott Farkas, Grover Dill, they all return. Some are more recognizable than others.
Sure, that's true. I mean, that's true if you go to your high school reunion. There are people that you recognize better than others.
I hate that I don't look anything like I did in high school, by the way. That's really... I would give anything back for that nice little mustache, that Magnum PI mustache.
We seem to have touched a nerve here at Stuck in the 80s today, folks.
So, anyway, the movie's cringy at times, but then again, so is every family Christmas.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, Katie and I were both just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. But then there were parts where I was just laughing my head off. I am admittedly a notoriously easy laugh. That's just the truth. But there were definitely things that I was enjoying in this.
There's some great lines. I'm sure we'll scatter some of these through the podcast. One of my favorites was, quote, attics are museums of indifference.
Yeah, I thought about my attic and the items that I have stashed up there. It's like stuff I don't need to have around, but I don't want to get rid of, which is a weird place for stuff to find itself, I think. It's like the island of misfit toys up there.
We have a storage unit here that we had to get because when the lovely Mrs. Spears moved down to Florida, she had too much stuff, and so we've got stuff it's a very big storage unit. That I think we paid $300 a month for, but just imagine like a whole garage, because you really probably could fit a car in this storage unit. Imagine a whole garage just like stacked to the ceiling with boxes. So,
oh yeah, sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
As we said, we're not going to give away the ending, but I will admit I was sobbing, crying like a baby, trying to explain some of the plot points, because at that point, Mrs. Spearsy had woken up and had come downstairs and was watching the last 5 minutes.
What's going on?
Of it.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to explain it, but I can't get it out because I'm, I don't know. You probably didn't cry, you emotionless bastard. You human Vulcan of a podcaster.
Well, I mean, look, a movie. Katie's mom passed away this year, and a movie where a parent is gone and it's the first Christmas without that parent around. It's like, oh, little few rough spots there in the screening for sure. So did I cry? Maybe not over the movie itself, but over the scenarios presented. Sure. I mean, that stuff is universal. Yeah. The heart of nostalgia, right? It's something that's recognizable.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard. Her dad died maybe, oh gosh, I don't even want to guess. It was more than 10 years ago. My dad died more than 10 years ago. So obviously the night devolved into stories about,
holidays.
Yeah, about the holidays, family traditions. And as a newly married couple, in fact, this is our anniversary weekend.
Oh yeah.
A year ago today, you and I were at rehearsal.
That's right.
And then about ready to eat a shitload of Italian food afterwards.
I love when you describe it that way. It just sounds so appetizing, Steve.
It was amazing, though.
Could you please bring us 2 shitloads of Italian food? My friend and I are very hungry. It was a lot of food, to be fair.
And then maybe a couple piss buckets of wine.
Whatever you have around.
I keep saying we need to create some of our own family holiday traditions, and so we've been kind of talking about that, like what can be our own traditions. And
you should bake chocolate chip cookies and send them to the person who is the best man in your wedding.
I'm sure anything you made in the kitchen would be better than anything I make in the kitchen.
Oh, I doubt that's true. I've had a drink at your house. It was delightful.
That's about it. I'm not the worst cook, but I can't. I mean, you're 10 times better of a
I don't know about that.
I think that's fair to say. It's okay. It's okay to disagree sometimes.
Well, gosh, Steve, that was awfully kind of you. What a thoughtful thing to say. Considering you've never been to my house or eaten any of my cooking.
I've seen the photos, though, and I've seen you describe them in very passionate terms to me over the phone.
Well, presentation's important, let's face it.
You make your own pizzas from scratch, damn you.
We're not putting people on the moon here, folks. It's like 4 ingredients of pizza dough, okay? Water, yeast, flour, and a little olive oil.
It's still more work than I'm willing to do.
That's fair. I mean, the dough balls you buy at Trader Joe's are pretty good, actually.
Okay, good to know. Fair representation of the movie, though, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I love some of the little homages that show up from the original. Like, Ralphie in the original movie, he's a bit of a daydreamer. That hasn't completely gone away. And one of the plot points is he's shopping this book he wrote, this, like, was it 2,000-page sci-fi epic called Neptune's Oblivion, which I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's the good stuff right there. And he's sitting at a desk of the publisher, and he's like staring off into the distance, imagining himself winning a Pulitzer. Like, is there a Pulitzer for sci-fi?
I don't know.
So. But he's standing up there with Isaac Asimov, Frank Herbert, and Anne McCaffrey, and of course he wins. I'm just dying laughing. So there's some touches in there for us sci-fi nerds. That stuff is just sprinkled through the whole film, little callbacks and little moments and scenarios that you will recognize.
Yeah.
There's a scene with Julie Haggerty and Ralphie's wife playing Scrabble that is just delicious.
My mother was one of the most creative and ruthless Scrabble players in the entire Midwest. Everyone knew better than to lock horns with her. Sandy, on the other hand...
I don't think bajillion is actually a word.
Yes, it is. You just used it in a sentence, so that's a double word score, and a 7-tile bonus, which is 50 points. So just give me a second. 122 points.
There's another scene where Julie Haggerty's putting Bactine on Ralphie.
Yeah.
When was it? I mean, I know I had Bactine growing up. I know my mom used it on me, and she was a nurse, so she probably, I don't know if that's actionable or not.
We were a Campho-Phenique house myself, but I'm familiar with the product.
Nowadays, I don't know about you, but if I cut myself, I just pour like a bottle of hydrogen peroxide on it.
Yeah, just wash it, scrub it, pour some of that on there, watch it foam.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Be done.
Anyway, it's on HBOMax. Go into it with an open mind. Be prepared to suffer through about 20 minutes before it catches its...
let it wrap its arms around you a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of like a family Christmas weekend. It's just that first 20 minutes that's unbearable. After that, your mind just starts to...
click into the rhythms. I mean, the other thing I'll say, like, how do you think this compares to... I think we talked about this last year. Last year, HBO Max's entry in the nostalgia-fueled holiday film fest was the Doogie Howser-narrated 8-Bit Christmas. Do you remember that?
I remember it, but
at all?
I don't remember. I don't know how much of it I saw.
We watched it, and I remember thinking it was pretty good. I liked where it went. The sequence was just the right amount of silliness. There's a lot of late 80s, early 90s nostalgia in it. That was probably a better put together movie. I think when you start to build your movie on the foundations of another movie like we have for the sequel, it's just it limits the upside a little bit. But again, I think if you liked A Christmas Story and you have access to HBO Max, let this wash over you. You're going to find things in it to enjoy. There are definitely moments of it, like Steve says, like a family dinner, where you're going to think, what am I doing here? What's happening? What choices have led me to this place? But then there are other places where you're going to find, really honestly, you're going to be laughing.
Yes. There are surprises throughout. And my surprise at the end was that I was,
that it got you.
It got me. I was not expecting that. I was expecting literally to come downstairs this morning, watch it for another 10 minutes, and then text you and say, let's find something else to talk about today.
Show's off. Let's talk about scrubbing dishes in the 80s after big dinners instead.
Speaking of scrubbing dishes, you know what I'd like to scrub right now? It makes no sense.
The seggies.
Prepare to qualify.
Now it's time for Stuck in the Arcade. Oh, by the way, speaking of arcades, last night there's an arcade here in Orlando called Arcade Monsters.
Ooh.
And it's full of arcade games and pinball machines, tons of pinball machines.
Ooh.
I even played a couple of those, which, not normally my gig. You go there, it was in Oviedo, which is just north of Orlando, up in my neck of the woods. It was $19 for unlimited play. Plus they had a bar and food. And shots and beer and stuff like that. But we played Donkey Kong, Tron, Paperboy. I cannot play Paperboy to save my life.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those Pee Wee Herman moments. I don't need to play that because I lived it.
It's so hard. I'm like, At what point was this ever like
Oh, man.
a popular game? Anyway, Stuck in the Arcade, we will play a snippet of an arcade machine mechanism from the 80s. If you get it right, you're entered into the drawing for the postal-friendly bottle opener. The only thing I can say without slurring. We did open it up to other suggestions for swag going forward, but I don't know that we had a winning suggestion.
Oh, no, we had some good suggestions. I got to tell you, I feel like I need to stay the course with the bottle opener. I like the bottle opener. It's durable. It's got utility. It's got our logo on it. It's a nice memento. It will last. I just have to, I have to keep advancing the science of packaging it so that the postal service accepts it as one of its own.
You have to put on there, I think, do not...
Hand stamp, yeah.
Yeah, must hand stamp.
Hand stamp. I'll get another... I could get another stamp to go with my Stuck in the 80s stamp.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That was the last big advance because people were getting these envelopes and they're like, what the hell is this? Like, it looks like it was, this looks machine hand lettered, and people were very dubious of what it was. So now I have a little Stuck in the 80s stamp, which I put on the envelope. So
I have it too.
You see it, you know what? Yeah, I sent you one too. You see it, you know who it's from. Oh. Yeah. Instead of just this, who's this Williams guy? I don't get it.
It's lovely. Anyway, from episode 648, here was the mystery arcade sound. Yep, that's Burger Time. I'm trying to think, did they have Burger Time last night at Arcade Monsters? I don't think that they had Dig Dug, which I thought was
thematically bizarre,
pretty crazy. They had, but it was not bad. It was just, they also had like the hockey game, where you have to like the foosball, but it's
oh yeah,
US
with
versus
the
Soviets.
Sliders back and forth and the twisties. Yeah.
I lost at that to my wife, who's never played it before.
Wow.
Not really feeling
well, that's
great
a nice anniversary present there.
Yeah. Anyway, we had some winners. Brad's going to read them.
We did indeed. People know this game. I don't think I ever played Burger Time. I don't think I'd ever seen one. Maybe back in the Weatherford, they just didn't have access to advanced meat-based food video games.
They have it on the cruise ship every year.
Oh, well, I haven't played it there either. I'll try it this year. I mean, I do like a good burger, and there's nothing wrong with an egg on a hamburger, says me. Anyway, here we go. Winners this week include Library John in Gladwin, Michigan, Brandon Thompson, Mike in Pasadena, Maryland, where the Rose Parade is considerably smaller, I would imagine, Chuck Moose Whaley, John Demakis, Alan B., Mike, you can rolla, Chris in Huntsville, Chad in Cali, Jace Wash in Beaver Creek, Brian in Columbus, Cincinnati, Joe, Matt D., who was in Oregon and is now in Tennessee, Diana, Alpha Geek, Dallas Fitzgerald, Fetch in Evansville, Paul in South Dakota, Commodore 64 Will, Chad Dickinson, Rick Parker, and Brian with an E in Boulder.
Okay, let's spin the wheel, find out who gets the magical device.
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2.
Efficient.
Yeah, I like the vertical prices right now. I think that's the right way to do it. Takes up a lot less space here in the office.
And looks like it's going to land on Paul in South Dakota. Okay, excellent.
Paul, nice.
Paul, send us your snail mail.
Paul, send us your address, and we will torture the post office with a lovely letter for you.
Don't we have Paul? Because he's a patron.
Yeah. Oh, I may have it then.
Yeah, we may have it.
Send it anyway, Paul. You never know.
Yeah. Anyway, pay attention. Here's this week's mystery sound. If you know the answer, email us at podcast@sit80s.com. The mystical refrain of listener mailbag. It's a lot easier to say when it's typed out in front of you.
I'm trying to help you out there, man.
I still want to say reader mailbag. It's still listed in the production library as reader mailbag, but it doesn't matter. Jan Carnes sent us this letter about our recent episode where we discussed Toto's Africa. Brad, take it away.
I will do so, Stephen Spears, in just a moment. Clear my throat. Jan writes, for what it's worth, Brad, I believe your love of the song Africa is based on your background growing up in a house of musicians and as a marching band geek. Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. Toto's harmonies are the best to sing along at the top of my lungs when I'm running in the open or anywhere else it plays. As you said, it is musically interesting, more so than almost anything else on the top 40 of the time. Lyrics? Who cares? I do agree with your criticism of what it was retroactively described as. Yeah, okay, I appreciate you throwing me a bone there, Jan. I had the unfortunate opportunity to see Toto in concert outdoors at Pine Knob in the Detroit suburbs, perhaps in 1983. Let me take you back in the podcast listener time machine to the days when I was a poor, and I mean collect deposit pop bottles for end of the week $3 cheese pizza poor, graduate student at Michigan. I loved this group, and I played Toto 4 on repeat. I saved up to attend one concert that year. Of course, it was Toto. Too bad nobody told me. That was stupid because they were a studio band. I attended with a friend of mine from the marching band who's still a good friend today. From the first notes, it was obvious either they were stoned out of their minds or the sound system wasn't functioning in their headsets. The singers were in at least 2 different keys, none of them the same as the instrumental. My friend and I kept saying, let's just wait and see if they adjust, and then Rosanna started. In unison, without debating, we got up and packed it up. Wow. We sort of listened to Rosanna as we headed to the car, a mere 15 minutes or so into the show. Feeling fortunate, it was getting quieter and quieter as we walked. To this day, when one of us hears Toto, they call the other and sing Rosanna a quarter step flat. It's fun. Give it a try. I'm going to take your word for that, Jan. I'm not sure that my brain could do that without rebelling against me. Jan, stuck in Lawrence, Kansas.
You'll have to explain to me what a quarter step flat means.
Well, it's like, like a flat or a sharp in music. Like a flat is a half step lower. So a quarter step would basically put you out of tune with any properly tuned instrument.
Oh, okay.
So a half step, that's just a flat. A quarter step, that's just way out of tune.
Okay.
It should hurt your ears.
I'm glad I read this because, to be honest, I've been kicking myself for having not seen them live over the years, but now I don't feel so bad about it.
It makes sense when you think about, she says a studio band. Are they going to be great on stage? Well, they're probably not going to want to talk, or there's not going to be much patter. They're just going to sit on their stools and do their thing. Play their synthesizer solos. It's funny because I was trying to think what other bands had a reputation for not being great live from
the Cars.
Decade. And that's exactly where I was going to go. The Cars did not have a good reputation. I still would have liked to have seen them back in the day, but I watched the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction set that they did, and man, I wanted to like it. It was not great. Anyway. Rest in peace.
The Cars. My problem with the Cars is it's not their fault. But when I was at Florida at college in the second half of the 80s, the Cars came through town and played at the basketball venue, which is any
okay. 15,000 seats maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tickets go on sale. My girlfriend buys 2 tickets. She tells me, I bought 2 tickets. I'm like, that's fantastic. I can't wait to see them. She's like, oh, I'm not taking you.
Oh,
I'm taking my friend, what's her name? And I'm like, are you serious?
This relationship is on the rocks.
It didn't last much more than maybe 2 more. And we'd been together for 2 years.
Wow. So the Cars ended your, well, it's not the Cars' fault, like you said, but it's a harbinger.
No, it was one of nails in the coffin. It was nail 10 of 12. So, but
the harbinger of doom.
I never did get to see the Cars perform live.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thanks a lot.
That would have been Heartbeat City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
That would have been freshman year. That tour might have gone for a while. I don't know.
It might have just been a one-off gig too. It might have been one of the ones that our university pretty much said, "Hey,
that could be.
We have all these student entertainment dollars that we have to spend."
Would you like some of these? I've got a suitcase full of $100 bills with your name on it. What do you say?
Yeah, you're right. Probably didn't they have one album after that?
They had a greatest hits, but I can't imagine they toured that. Door to door.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The brain damage is still there.
Could have been Door to Door. Door to Door is 87.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, I don't know if they toured it. Whatever. Sorry.
The anger remains. You can't regrow brain cells. You can't sometimes there's things like that. Like my mom not letting me go see Kiss on the Dynasty tour.
You can't unsee some things and you can't go back and see some things.
Yes.
You just have to keep moving forward with the arrow of time.
You can invent a podcast time machine. You can try to fix these problems.
You
but
can't
I'm not
fuel
so
it
sure.
because you can't get plutonium down at the corner drugstore.
Anyway, if you have a letter, email us at podcast@sat80s.com. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
What happened?
Just fell off the swing.
He did, but let's see. Oh, a little Bactine will fix that right up.
Is that good stuff?
Oh, it's real good.
Bactine is unsurpassed in killing germs among the leading antiseptics.
Uh-oh, looks like you need some too. Is that better?
Better.
Oh, you got it.
Bactine helps the hurt stop hurting.
We got a few minutes left. I figure it's time for...
Please tell me now. Please tell me now.
Yes, another episode of PPTMN. Please tell me now.
Yeah.
I feel so bad because we got this question in a few months ago. And by a few, I mean it was April. Sorry.
I blame myself.
It's just been that kind of year, to be honest. Would we have been on the cruise? No, that would have been March. So there's really no excuse. Anyway, from Tanya Boudreau, Brad's going to read it.
I am. Tanya writes, "Hi guys. I just watched an incredible new documentary called Analog Love, The Long Lost Art of the Mixtape. Honestly, I kind of want to stop right now and go watch that and then come back and talk this. So I'll check it out. Anyway, after watching it, I have questions for you both. Please tell me now, which song would you always include on a mixtape?" That's question one. Do you want the second question now or after we answer the first one?
Oh,
Okay. Question two, we'll just address these in order. And then question two, also, what songs or bands would ruin a mixtape? Oh. Asking for some opinions here is what she wants.
Okay. I'm going to say there's two kind of mixtapes. I'm going to say there's the romantic mixtape that you make for
either real or would-be partner.
Yes. And then there'd be like another mixtape that you might make that you listen to driving around by yourself.
Okay.
So for the romantic mixtape, I would say that the two must includes on mine, Slave to Love by Brian Ferry. And I don't know why this always makes the lists that I've done in the past, but Hold Me Now by Thompson Twins.
I mean, it gets right to the point.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right. Sometimes it's good to dissolve any ambiguity.
I mean, if you're so brave as to show somebody that you're interested in them by recording a bunch of songs on a tape and then slipping it to them surreptitiously, I made you this, just in case they weren't picking up the vibe you were laying down there in the part of the conversation. It's good to be clear on these things.
Yeah.
I would agree with that approach to categorizing mixtapes. I made mixtapes for my cars. Like when I bought a new car, I always like to have a new mix to start, like as I drove away with the new car. Not that it was brand new to me. I mean, it was a starving student anyway. That's a whole nother story. But so yeah, those are different mixes. Like I had a whole series of Jetta tapes for my Jetta. Duh. But the song that I get accused of using too much on that style of tape is White Lines by Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah. You love that song.
I love that song. Okay, so three things, right? One, love the song. Two, had the vinyl. Because remember, this is like the pre-Napster era. You actually have to own a copy of this or have access to a copy of this to put it on a tape.
Yeah.
And three, it's nice and long. So it's great on side B when you're like, oh my gosh, where am I going to come with another 30 minutes of songs? I'm out of ideas. It's great. And it's a banger. Come on, man. The street kid gets arrested. He's going to do some time. But don't worry, he gets out 3 years from now just to commit more crimes.
If I had to tape for my car, I would use the sad mopey stuff.
No. You got to have some cruising tunes. You need cruising tunes.
I have a whole playlist on Spotify that's just called Mopey 80s. I think we actually worked on this together, didn't we?
I feel like I put some songs on there. Probably a probably contributed some Cure tracks, like A Forest.
Here Comes a
The
Regular.
Girl Was Never There.
Here Comes a Regular by The Replacements is on it.
So good.
Throwing It All Away by Genesis.
Oh, yeah. Knife in the back.
What else? I think you put Emotion in Motion by Rick Ocasek.
Interesting. I do like that solo album. I will say the other side of this, the romantic stuff, I have a lot of weird rules in life in general, but one of my weird mixtape rules, maybe it's not that weird, is that you can't repeat songs on romantic mixtapes. If I made a mixtape for a girl and it had a song on it, then that song cannot be used on mixtapes for future potential or actual romantic partners, which makes life challenging as you get older.
Yeah, I gotta say I don't agree with that.
Well, I might at this point like wipe the slate clean, but what it does is it allows me to keep those associations clean with songs to people, if you will. But the one that I really like that I would use again and again if I were the kind of person who would do that to people, which seems like song cheating a little bit, I really like the Jerry Harrison song Man with a Gun.
What?
Which has very little to do with guns.
Okay.
Let's play. I'm going to play just a clip of this song. The first time I ever heard it was on the Something Wild soundtrack. It's so good. Oh, it's just this kind of dreamy, ethereal track. And Jerry Harrison's talking about a pretty girl and she can go anywhere. Doors open for her. And it's just, it's fantastic.
A pretty girl can walk anywhere. All doors open for her. Like a breath of fresh air, her beauty, it precedes her.
Okay, so not as weird as I thought it'd be.
Yeah, the title is a little misleading, which is kind of a good reason to use it here. Get everyone's dander up a little bit.
Let's tackle question number 2. What songs or bands would ruin a mixtape? Ruin.
Culture Club. Full stop. Culture Club.
Anything...
Sorry. Are those my biases showing?
Anything too perky. No walking on sunshine.
You couldn't be more wrong, but go ahead. I'm picturing Katrina giving you a big hug before trivia, and now you're crapping all over her saying her song can't be on a mixtape. Huh.
Yeah, I guess I feel bad about that.
But continue. Go ahead.
No Bobby McFerrin. No, don't worry, be happy nonsense.
Okay. I can get on board with that. That's a buzzkill and a half.
No Terrence Trent D'Arby. No Milli Vanilli. No.
I disagree with you on Terrence Trent D'Arby.
I can't stand.
Sign Your Name. That's a good song.
I don't like. Was it Sade? I don't like her either.
How can we be friends, Steve Spears? You don't like Sade?
No.
Shut the front door.
What else? I mean, probably.
God, I don't. It's like I don't even know you.
Probably no hair metal either, for that matter.
Well, that's just a genre choice. I mean, I get it.
We were too old for that.
I don't really have. I mean, I guess it's just a thing that's driven by your preferences, and I just don't like Culture Club, in case you wondered. Also, no Stevie Nicks for me.
At least her songs are seem like they're 15 minutes long. You only need 2 of them to fill a side of the tape.
Well, if that's what you're looking for. I mean, if you want long stuff, use the third movement of Beethoven's Seventh Symphony or something,
I agree with you on Culture Club. I mean, to be honest, they're overplayed so much that just I'm trying to think what song would I listen to of theirs if it were on.
I would listen to Boy George's Crying Game. That's a good song.
Yeah.
But that's not 80s.
No.
And it's not Culture Club.
No. That's a good idea. So, hey, people out there, help us out here. Send in your must-have songs and your must-not-have songs.
Let's make an anti-mixtape. Send us the horrible stuff. Because I'm really weird about mixtapes. When I make a mix, and I still think of them as mixtapes, I worry about the transition song to song. I want it to kind of flow. I like it if there's a little narrative arc that I can draw between the songs. I did a mixtape. I think I made it available to everybody, But the liner notes I posted just to the Patreons about like how I had constructed it, what the song, like what my background was with the song, and how I connected them like into little 3-song arcs and stuff. I had a great time doing it. It took me most of the summer, but
I had a friend who the secret to his mixtapes was he only used songs that the girl didn't know, and he found ways to incorporate pieces of the lyrics into casual conversations with her ahead of time, so that when she heard it in the music, boom, instant success.
That's mastery level stuff right there.
Yeah, I don't have the.
Is he teaching classes? Because I think I could learn some things from a person like that.
So there's that philosophy as well. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed our conversation about A Christmas Story Christmas. Seriously, send us in your must-haves and must-not-haves for your mixtapes. We've still got a month to go before Christmas. Will this be our only Christmas show this year? We do not know.
You just never know, do you, kid?
In the meantime, Brad and myself, along with Ralphie and his friends, we remain here, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is now on Patreon. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/stuckinthe80spodcast. Special thanks to Check Battery Daily for our theme music, and thanks for listening.